First day, a moral, sensible, and well-bred man will not affront me, and no other can. Coper. The Limited was speeding to California over the snow-blanketed prairies of Iowa. On car, Boer, the passengers had all retired, and Dixon, the porter, his duties finished, sought the more comfortable warmth of the smoker, where he intended to resume the reading of the book he had brought with him. Fanot's Race Prejudice. He had just found the passage and begun to read when a passenger rushed into the room. "Is this Boone we are coming into, Porter?" he demanded excitedly, and with a foreign accent, at the same time peering anxiously out of the window at the twinkling lights of the town into which the train was rushing. "No, sir," reassured Dixon. "We'll not be in Boone for 20 minutes yet. This is a mess." "Thank you," said the passenger, relieved. "The porter on my car has gone to bed, and I feared I would be carried beyond my destination." He then started to leave, but when halfway turned and asked, "May I ride in here with you and get off when we get there?" "Certainly, sir," welcomed Dixon cordially. "Make yourself at home. Where are your grips?" And dropping his book on the seat, Dixon went for the grip. When Dixon returned, the passenger was reading the book. "Thank you," he said, as Dixon placed his grip in a corner. "Pardon me, but I see you have been reading Race Prejudice." "Yes, sir. I find it very instructive. I have read it myself, but in French. I have read it in French too." "Indeed. Can you speak French?" "Oui, monsieur." "Where did you learn it? In New Orleans?" asked the passenger in French. "I began it in college and improved on it in France," responded the porter in the same language. "You have been in France? What part?" "Bordeaux." "Bordeaux? How long were you there?" 2.5 years. "What were you doing?" "Studying." "No, sir. I was a Spanish correspondent for Simon and Company, wine merchants." "You speak Spanish too?" "Ooh. What are you, Cuban?" "No, American, but I have visited Cuba. I learned Spanish in the Philippines." "I see you have traveled a great deal." "Yes, somewhat. It seems to be just my luck. I returned from the Philippines in time to get a position as valet to a gentleman about to tour South America, becoming 6 months later his private secretary. Together, we also visited the principal countries of the world. The poor fellow died while we were in Bordeaux, and that accounts for my stay there." "Didn't you like it in France?" "Very much, indeed, but Simon and Company failed on account of the bad crops, and I was thrown out of work. As I had been longing to see my native land, I returned home." "I should think with your knowledge of French and Spanish, you ought to be able to get a better job than this." "Well, I have never been able to get one, and when one has a family, he must get the wherewithal to live some way." "But have you tried to get something better?" "I'm trying continually. On my return from Europe, I advertised for a position as French and Spanish correspondent. I received a good many replies, but when my prospective employers saw me, they all made various excuses. There was one, though, who, declaring he was a broad-minded, would have employed me, but his offer was so small that I refused it on principle. Too bad for a man of your education. You said that? You went to college? I spent a semester and a half at Yale. Then the war with Spain broke out and I enlisted. They then went on to speak about railroad life, the passenger telling Dixon about an incident that had occurred that afternoon between the porter on his car and a fussy passenger, and concluded by asking Dixon if he met many such persons. No, was his reply. Nearly all the persons I meet on the road are very pleasant. I'm sure that if Bias or of Preland had gained his knowledge of human nature on a sleeping car, his verdict would have been altogether different. I never knew before that there were so many kind, agreeable persons until I had this position. One meets a grouchy person at such rare intervals that he can't afford to be liberal then. I can recall an incident similar to the one you have just told me. One day while waiting on a drawing room passenger, I made a mistake. This man who had got on the train with a grouch, having previously wrangled with the train and the sleeping car conductors, at once began to abuse me ferociously in spite of my earnest apology. I took it all calmly, at the same time racking my mind for some polite but effective retort. And as I noted the ludicrousness of his ruffled features, an inspiration came to me, whereby I could bring his conduct effectively to his notice. In the room was a full-length mirror, made into the stateroom door. Swinging this door around, I brought it right in front of him, where he could get a full view of his distorted features, at the same time saying with good nature, "See, sir, the mirror does you a strange injustice today." The ridicule was too much for him. He stopped immediately, then started to explode again, and apparently at a loss for words sat down. The two then began to exchange experiences of French life, reverting soon after to the subject of the book and its author. Fnott has done a great service for humanity in the production of this book, remarked the passenger, and he well merits the honor conferred on him, officer of the Legion of Honor. He is called one of the makers of modern France, added Dixon. Did you know that despite his French name, he is a Pole? Then, espying the twinkling lights of the town, he exclaimed, "Hey, here, we are coming into Boone now." When the train started again, Dixon returned to the smoker and resumed his reading. But too tired to concentrate his thoughts on the scientific matter, he closed the volume, placed it behind him in the hollow form by his back and the angle of the seat, and began to reflect on the passage he had just read. The doctrine of inequality is empathetically a science of white peoples. It is they who have invented it. This recalled to him some of the many falsities current about his people. He thought of how in nearly all the large libraries of the United States in which he had been permitted to enter, He had found books advancing all sorts of theories to prove his people were inferior. Some of these theories even denied them human origin. He went on to reflect on the discussions he had heard on the cars and other places from time to time, and of what he called the heirloom ideas that many persons had concerning the different varieties of the human race. These discussions, he went on to reflect, had been the means of his acquiring a fund of knowledge, as he would note any opinion that he thought incorrect and look it up in the works of the standard authors. These facts once ascertained, he would keep in the same notebook. But at this juncture, his thoughts were interrupted by the entrance of someone. Looking up, Dixon saw a man clad in pajamas, overcoat, and with slippered feet enter the room. And with that being stated, family, we'll come back next time with more. Till then, keep your heads up, stay focused, and read.